Well, we have some special guests here that I'll announce their names. Anybody who is not speaking today and who's a special guest from the county. Cariana Ingram from the Palm Beach County Delegation, Howie Zimmerman from the Palm Beach County Property Appraiser's Office, Roger Michan also from the Property Appraiser's Office, Ed Saul, aide to Commissioner Sachs, Nicole Carson from the Supervisor of Elections, Rochelle Walters from the Movies of Delray. Great to see you. We often come and use the Movies of Delray. Ron, he's going to be speaking. Tony Keeler, firefighters and paramedics of Palm Beach County. Great to see you. Yes, yes. Major Chris Keene from PBSO. Christian Wright from Commissioner Woodward's office. And a special guest, a farmer from the EAA. Do you know what the EAA is? The Everglades Agricultural Area. It's beyond the Ag Reserve. And when they started chipping away at the Ag Reserve, I said, thank God for the EAA, because there's a lot grown out there, and he's a big, major vegetable farmer, and he happens to be running for state senate. Rick Roth, and he was our past representative. Say hello to Rick Roth. Yeah, great to see you, and thank you for giving us the food.
No, I don't give it to you, I'll sell it.
Okay, so that's okay. At least he's honest. Oh, an honest elected official. That's great. Well, we have another honest elected official here that's going to be speaking, Karen Brill. There's lots of honest elected officials. We don't want the Alliance to have any problems with anybody, right? Okay. You know what? A couple of updates before we start. You do receive this newsletter. We are going to be going digital. It's getting extremely expensive. But you'll be getting a card every month telling you about the meeting. But we're probably going to go to something digital with constant contact, similar to what the elected officials do. A few things this month that we've been working on for a couple of months here. First of all, you know about the tax collector's office. And we're constantly on top of that and working on that. Got 3,000 signatures, and people don't want it there. We're working on it, but it's a battle, but we're pursuing it. The other thing is to saving our beach park. Thank you to those who wrote into the county commissioners that you do want to keep that beach park, because there's only two county beach parks east of Boynton, Delray, and Boca, and that's South Inlet Park and Gulfstream Park. Those are the only two county parks where you pay $3 an hour to park there. Now, this Cam Di Milani Beach Park, it's slated for being in Highland Beach. That will probably be charging $4 an hour. But how long do people usually stay? 3-4 hours. The Spanish River Park is a Boca Raton municipal park. It costs $50 a day to park in. And if you go out for a sandwich and you come back, it's another $50. So we're unincorporated Palm Beach County. When your families come, your friends come, they say, oh, let's go to the beach. Well, let's find a good place to park and to be able to enjoy the beach at a good price. So that's why we are working on this, because there may be some people who don't want it, you know, but it's been for 40 years, nearly 40 years, it's been on the books that it's going to become a county park. We have an update now from Lieutenant Wink from the PBSO.
Thank you. All right, good morning, Delray Alliance. How's everybody doing?
Good morning.
This is my favorite meeting throughout the year. I love the decorations, the energy, and we get the short opportunity to celebrate 4th of July together. All right. Special thank you to Dr. Vinicore and the entire Alliance of Delray staff and committee for putting this together. Impressive spread. Thank you. That was very nice of you guys. All right. Hope everybody's doing well. Everyone having a wonderful summer. Captain Morales sends his regards. He's on vacation. So I have a couple of brief updates for you guys. All right, with a show of hands, who has received in the last 2 weeks scam calls, texts, or emails? All right, everyone. All right. For a minute there, I thought I was alone. So I got a perfect slogan for you guys to kind of navigate this. All right, it's called Stop and Think. Okay? What that means is when you receive this, you stop, you take a deep breath, slow things down, and you think before you act. Okay? Don't answer unfamiliar phone calls. Delete the texts, delete the emails, right? And most important of all, flag them. Okay? I love when I get a phone call that says spam risk. I know not to answer it. When I get those SunPass texts, I get the motor vehicles, I'm sure you all got them, right? I delete them, report to junk. Emails, I get some from Infinity, I just paid my bill saying I'm overdue. That's a scam. Flag it, put it in the junk folder, okay? These scammers are fishing for your personal and financial information. Okay? Don't give them the opportunity, okay? We're taking this very seriously. Here in West Delray, we're averaging 6 fraud reports a week. Okay, it's 30% of our overall crime is fraud related. Okay, this issue is not going to go away. We take it very, very serious. If you haven't had the opportunity, please utilize our VAST team, our Volunteers Against Scams teams. They will come out and do an hour presentation. They update the material constantly so it reflects what the community needs and what they're seeing and what we're seeing in the district. All right, reach out to me. I'll get you connected. Okay, our detectives. They're going to conferences, they're going to training. We have 2 detectives in District 4 that are now specialized, part of the PBSO crypto team to investigate Bitcoin crimes. Okay? They have licenses so they can investigate it and go in detail. So we're taking the necessary measures to prevent and educate the public and keep doing what you're doing. Just stop and think and don't become a victim of a scam. Okay? Second note, I want to discuss fireworks safety. All right? We're coming up to 4th of July. 4th of July is a day you can shoot fireworks off legally. So is New Year's Day and New Year's Eve in Palm Beach County. Okay? We encourage you guys to leave it to the professionals. Last year we had 4 incidents at Palm Beach County where there was firework injuries. Okay? But the event that you guys want to have a barbecue, family barbecue, you want to shoot some fireworks off of the grandkids, here's some simple reminders. All right? Never let children light fireworks. Never shoot or throw a firework near anybody. Have a bucket of water or a hose nearby so you can put out the firework. And the big thing is, if the firework doesn't go off, put it in water, leave it alone for 20 minutes, put it in water, and don't try to relit it, okay? Also be mindful of your neighbors, pets, and our veterans who may be sensitive to loud noises, okay? I want to wish everybody a happy and safe 4th of July. Thank you.
Oh, when you say that's FROG, F-R-O-G, that's an acronym, right? FROG is an acronym, right? Okay, that's okay, that's okay. Yeah, I just want to know what it stood for. We'll have to look that up and we will send it out. Great, thank you. And we have Chief Bill Stansbury.
Hello everybody, thank you very much. The police officers took my talk about firefighter safety and how to be careful with the fireworks and keep a bucket of water around, but it's always good information to repeat, so just make sure you're very safe and you have all your fingers and everything next week. You don't want to be holding any fireworks and lighting them in your hands. I think this crowd is good. Generally it's the teenagers that get stupid with fireworks and hold them too long and blow up stuff. So I was looking at the Alliance newsletter, and I made the newsletter. I'm in there with a picture of us playing pickleball versus one of the Alliance communities. So that's one of the things that the fire department's kind of doing. We're trying to get the word spread out. That if there's any communities that have big pickleball courts and they ever want to have like a challenge to the fire department, we try to go on our days off and we'll play pickleball in the morning, generally from like 8 to 10, just to get out there, get some community involvement so that you guys get to meet us when it's not an emergency on your part. So just, we had a good time. It was fun. We played for about 2 hours. Some other things going on is the call volume is generally the slowest during the summer. We had about 3,000 calls last month in the Battalion 4 area, which is 9 stations that cover this area. And now, unfortunately, we're in hurricane season, so make sure everyone's loaded up. They got their water and any food and drinks that they need that they can keep in the pantry in case they lose power for a few days. Stay safe out there. Be careful on the 4th of July weekend. And if you need any assistance, always feel free to call 911. And I will see you all next month.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. And we have Karen Grill, the chair of the school board. Great to see you today. Well, you do have blue and white. You need a little red.
So good morning, everybody. It's great to be with you. I have to tell you that being on the school board these days is really a roller coaster ride. So first we hear our grades, the students' grades have gone up, but then I sit and I think, are they good enough? So I go from being elated to being a bit depressed about them. Then we hear that the governor's budget is actually, there's some increases and some decreases, but yes, we can handle it. So the budget is not as bad as we thought it would be. So we were celebrating that. And then yesterday, I get a message from the superintendent about the federal budget. And I'll share with you what's going on federally, because it's going to have a huge impact on us. So right now, it looks like the president may be withholding Title IC funds, which is migrant education, Title IIA, professional development for all you teachers out there, Title IIIA, English learner services, Title IVA, academic enrichment, and Title IVB, before and after school programs. So there was a meeting yesterday of all the superintendents with the Commissioner of Education, the new commissioner, and he had stated that at this point it's a programmatic review because these funds go through the state. They don't go directly to the school boards. The impact for us is $30 million in federal funds that are in jeopardy for the school year, and these dollars pay for approximately 200 full-time positions, an additional 100 plus temporary jobs in our 21st century after-school programs and adult education. So right now, we don't know where we're going to stand. The suggestion was made that since the governor made some cuts in the budget, he cut basically around $600 million from the state budget. The superintendents are asking, can you cover us for this next year so that we can all sort it out? Because at the end of the day, we're going to make sure all the students get what they need. We're very happy with our test scores. We believe we'll maintain our A rating. So it is a roller coaster. One day we're up and one day we're down. There is one other thing I want to inform you about. I'm going to be calling Dr. Vinokur about it. So talking about the county, you may not be aware, but the county just approved a plan they're working on a countywide transportation plan. So they just hired now the consultant that's going to work with them. And I happen to be representing the school board and chairing a committee that is overseeing transportation for the county. So it's going to be a multi-year plan, and it's going to be important for all of us. And although I'm there as school board, I cannot set aside my representation of my unincorporated areas. So I am going to bring Dr. Vinokur up to speed. I've spoken already to Cobra. We have to talk to the West Boca Community Alliance also, just to make sure that they're on board. But we need a voice to make sure, because this group is comprised of municipalities and the county. But we need the Western community's voice in there, because you know what transportation is like. You know what it's like driving the roads here. I barely made it here because I got stuck in traffic this morning. And it's summertime. So that's my report. It's not the best news, but all I can tell you is I promise you that your school board is going to do everything it can to support our children, to keep our A rating, to make sure that we teach true facts, and that we don't ban any books. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work you do on that school board, which takes hours and hours and hours. I haven't had a LASIK procedure yet or any cataract surgery yet, but my astigmatism missed a special guest, and that's Leslie Schreiberg from PBS, so give her a hand. She helps us a lot when we need to have our sheriff come and visit us. Terrific. Well, so before we have our speaker, we've got a 2-minute commercial from ACTS, A-C-T-S, Colleen Wilson, the Community Outreach Coordinator. Thank you for your sponsorship today.
Sure. First off, I want to give you all accolades. You are unsung heroes. All you do for your communities. I know I'm in a 55 and up community myself. I sit at some of those board meetings, and guess what? definitely hear all those residents kind of being a pain in the neck, so thank you. Just going to give you a brief introduction as to who we are. Edgewater at Boca Point and St. Andrews Estates, Axe Retirement Life Communities, about 5 miles south in Boca. We serve residents ages 62 to 102, and new residents must move in independently, and then they have the peace of mind of knowing should they need assisted living memory care, or skilled care, there is no extra increase in costs. And speaking of money, we want our residents to feel peace, secure. We offer a Samaritan Fund, and so we have scholarships for those residents who outlive their money through no fault of their own. We are not-for-profit. We are a family of 28 communities in 9 states. We were founded in Pennsylvania in 1972, so we're 53 years young. Want to brag for 1 second, and that is to tell you that we just finished our resident satisfaction survey, and we scored a 96%. So, thank you. I'm looking at all your beautiful smiles, and guess what I think you're all saying? I'm not ready yet for one of these places. Heck no. Okay, you know what I like to say? You're not ready to not have to cook or put up hurricane shutters or waiting for repairmen. You're not ready to meet some new friends and have planned activities and trips? Okay. Well, I invite you on board to our luxury cruise ship on land. We've got some food and fun activities. You've got it in your packets. And I hope you come back and see me. I'm at the table, and we're doing a sign-in to win brunch for 4, lunch, or dinner. Thank you.
Thank you for your sponsorship. Great. Now for a great picture-filled session. I'm sure we're going to see some colorful slides here from Ron Rice, Ph.D. Dr. Ron Rice, Director of Palm Beach County Cooperative Extension Department. I've known him for years. Such a wonderful, wonderful guy. Thank you so much. He's going away tomorrow, so it was really nice that he could come here and do this for us today. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Benacor. I'm really happy to be here today. I just love the stars and stripes motif here. It's just perfect. It's really encouraging to see this celebration of our country. And I also am encouraged with the fresh fruit display, all grown locally, by the way. And that kind of ties in with the second part of my presentation today, so that was perfect. I was also very pleased to bump into my old friend Rick Roth, who is a candidate for our Florida Senate. I've known Rick for 32 years. I want to put this in perspective because I know a few things about Rick that you may not know. But in truth, it was not those things, Rick. This is 32 years ago when I finished my Ph.D. and came down to the Everglades agriculture area to do research. I was involved with a gigantic project that was looking into water quality aspects of farm drainage. There's multiple farms, 5+ years of tremendous amount of work. Rick volunteered his farm to be part of this, and I have to say, we messed his farm up pretty bad at times, sinking giant lysimeters into fields, instrumenting his pumps, collecting pretty sensitive data, right? Water quality data. But he was a willing cooperator with science. His data from his farm ended up in the publication that I wrote that quantified phosphorus reductions in farm drainage waters from the Everglades agricultural area that was accepted by all of the different agencies in terms of the regulatory program out there. So I got to thank you again, Rick, for being such a wonderful cooperator. So what we have here is, so my name's Ron Rice. I am the director of the Extension Department. Very quickly, it's a partnership. The Extension Department is a partnership between the University of Florida and Palm Beach County government. We have extension departments or an extension presence per se in all 67 counties in Florida, and this is a nationwide program. We're part of the land grant university system. Oh, let me get my glasses on. Pardon me. So the mission of Extension is really to deliver science-based, research-based information from trusted institutions in order to enhance agriculture, support horticulture for both homeowners and the professional landscapers. We are involved with family life sciences, and I think many of you have heard of 4-H youth development. My department's got basically, I just break it down into 5 divisions and make it easy. Ag, environmental hort, with our Master Gardener program, family consumer sciences, which is the family life sciences, 4-H, and then we're very lucky to have the 20-acre Mounts Botanical Garden attached to my department, so that offers us a lot of opportunities for some cool stuff. We look to create impactful solutions to make people's lives better, okay, and to protect the environment, and also to enhance agriculture. Agriculture is a big part of our mission, agriculture and horticulture. So when I go through this, I'm just going to focus on ag and horticulture for the overview. In terms of our agriculture extension agents, we do a lot of trainings and on-farm field studies, focusing on sugarcane, vegetable, and rice. Those are huge crops out in the Everglades ag area. We do variety testing. Very important, we track genetic diversity. This is something that farmers might not do themselves because they're in the business of just trying to do their risky operation and keep afloat. But we track the varieties that are being used for sugarcane and rice and make sure that there's not a genetic constriction where we're relying too much on one variety, which is always a bad thing. In case one pest hits that variety, you lose 80% of your crop, right? So you want diversity. So we track that for them. We're looking at invasive pests, which are always happening here in South Florida. Pest management practices, as I already mentioned, that we did on Rick's farm. Very important, food safety protocols, federally mandated, we do those trainings. We also do trainings that are required by the state and the federal government for pesticide applicator licenses and worker protection standards, and we look out for our agricultural labor workforce. We keep them safe with trainings. So, just last year, 135 educational events, over 3,600 people. We're really active in that arena. On the horticulture side, we've got both commercial as well as residential horticulture. Okay, so we've got the commercial side, and we do a lot of the FDEX required trainings for the landscapers, lawn care companies, pest control operators. It's called Green Industries Best Management Practices, kind of a long mouthful, but it's all science-based instruction on how to do things out in people's yards without polluting the whole world. Trying to reduce non-point source pollution and trying to teach homeowners, how to take care of their lawns and their landscapes in an environmentally friendly way. On the residential side, you all heard of Master Gardener volunteer program? I think it's nationwide. It's really important to us. They really extend our reach to the community. We do a lot of residential horticulture trainings. We help people identify the pests and diseases and pathogens that are attacking their plants. It's really a good thing. Just bring your plant in and we'll get it identified for you. If we can't do it, we'll get somebody up in Gainesville to do it. So again, we do a lot of environmentally friendly trainings. Lots of outreach right there. And you can see our Master Gardener program gave us over 19,000 hours of service, last year. That's like 9 people, extra people, full-time with their expertise. It's astounding. I mentioned Mounts Botanical Garden. I want to include them here because, well, first of all, come visit our garden if you don't know about it. It's right on the western edge of the Palm Beach County runway, so every now and then you got to stop your conversation as the plane goes over. But they do both sort of like healthy living classes as well as horticulture classes for homeowners and residents. And it's really nice. And you'll see in those pictures on the top left, that's a plant sale. There's 4 or 5 major plant sales a year. Lots of vendors selling all kinds of things, including the fruit trees that I'll talk about a little bit later. At the bottom, you see the different kinds of temporary art exhibits that we bring into the Mounts, including origami, that crane, Legos, as well as this interesting structure that was built by an artist and volunteers called Stickworks. That survived for about 2 years. We also run the Ambassadors of the Wetlands program, which is really neat to take a horticulture unit, a botanical garden, and then teach high school kids and middle school kids all about Everglades ecosystems, wetland ecosystems. It's really neat. And they do their own educational programs as well. So we do a lot of educating, as you can see, and it's all research-based, science-based things. I'll just go through really quickly just some photos, just so you can see kind of what our people do. Here's our agriculture extension agents at work, doing pest trap demonstrations, equipment calibrations for agriculture, interacting with youth and teaching them STEM education, agriculture, sugarcane field days, interacting with youth again, just teaching them about caterpillars and pollinators, and crop insect pest workshops. Just to give you an idea, on the horticulture side, we've got instruction on tree care, lawn pest IDs, wetland sciences. So I just wanted to show you some photos of our people in action. And I'm quite proud of I just put together a quick list of the different residential horticulture type topics that we were involved with last year, and it's quite lengthy. I'm not going to go through it, but just have a peek at that. It's a wide range of different things that really excite people, things that people ask for. And if we don't have it on our list, then we get educated on it, and then we give a presentation on it and a demonstration outside. So even though often you'll hear about extension being geared towards commercial agriculture, but that's not true. We're highly, highly involved with our everyday residents like myself. So now we're going to really change gears. We're going to go through 5 fruit trees. I selected these with some help from my fruit tree colleagues, just based on their wide range of flavors and textures. They tend to be pretty resistant to pathogens and pests, and they're good for containers. And I think this is important. You know, not everybody's got 2 acres in the back, right? You might just have a patio and a bit of land, but you can grow some of these fruit trees in a big pot, you know, and do very nicely with it. And I'll show you some examples. And we'll start with longan, okay? Now this is the exception. Longan, probably, you can try a container for a while, but you're gonna have to get it out of that container sooner or later, all right? It's native to Asia. It's got, and I think a lot of you are familiar with longans, but it's got a real beautiful translucent pulp. It's got an earthy textured feel as you eat it. It's kind of similar to lychees or lychees and rambutans, if you've had those. If you're not eating them fresh, you know, you can freeze them, and they're fantastic in salads. You know, this is a thing. A lot of people say, well, I don't know what to do with this. Okay, so we've got lychees, right? Or longans, excuse me. Yeah, beautiful. Oh, that worked out good. All right, so some things to consider about longan, okay? So it naturally wants to create big, shady canopies. They're very pretty, attractive trees when you just let them go wild. I put 30 to 40 feet here, but you know, there's trees that are 90, 100 feet big, okay? Now, if you want to maintain it small, you're going to be busy, all right? You've got to do a lot of annual pruning. Basically, I'm saying it's too large for containers. Now, there you see 2 of the inflorescences or the fruit clusters. Looks really plentiful, but I'll point out, like, you can see that a lot of these fruit down here are really small, okay? In other words, you could say that it's actually produced too much fruit because it's a heavy fruit bearer, and if you let every single fruit develop, you're going to get sort of like, you know, medium-sized fruit to really tiny ones, all right? So what do? Cut them off. So, yeah, it's brutal. So when it's, you really don't want to do it, okay, but you have to, all right? So when they're really small, smaller than that, just cut 50% of the end off. The rest will do just nicely, and they'll get really big and plump, and you'll thank me for that advice later. The commercial growers do this, okay? We're just not making this up. So what do you do with a tree like this, okay? Well, remove the upright growth. You're always going to get something shooting straight in the sky. Take it out. Encourage the lateral growth. It wants to grow big, so you got to work to tame it. You can keep it at 15 feet. Now this thin out dense canopies to add air light, this applies to every single one of the fruit trees and all fruit trees. You don't want it to get so unmanaged inside and so packed that it stays wet all the time. You're just going to encourage pathogens. You want an open, airy, sunlight coming down to do the photosynthesis to produce the fruits, sunlight to come down to evaporate all that morning dew so it stays dry. So opening up the insides is a good thing. And this is an example of a longan that's actually been pruned quite nicely. It's maintained at, it looks to me like about 15 feet. Varieties, Kohala is the dominant one. You can find that pretty readily. Biokio, Kiao, and Chompu, varieties out of Thailand, are also becoming very popular. And the harvest season is about June to August. You're going to see most of the harvest seasons of the summer, right? That's when fruits are kicking off. The next one here, this is very unusual. Raise your hands if you've ever had canistel before. Okay? Pretty rare. I'm in the same boat, okay? The first time I had canistel, I was like, what? Okay, I need some practice here, okay? It's native to Mexico, Central America. It's also called the egg fruit because, let's bring this up. You can look at the inside. It's very dense and custardy, okay? It's not like juicy. It's not crisp. It's, well, I don't want to say mush, but it's dense mush, okay? But unbelievable taste. It's really unusual. You just got to try it sometime. There's notes of sweet potato all the way to butterscotch and subtle vanilla. It's a really interesting thing. Very popular in baked goods, I found out, okay? And this is one thing I do know, because this is how I first got introduced to canistel. It blends really nice with dairy products, you know, milkshakes, smoothies, custards, ice creams. Really good for that. It really will ramp up your dairy products a lot. But it's a really attractive looking fruit, isn't it?
Ron, can you tell us how big the fruit is?
Oh, large pear. Yeah. So these are good for containers, okay? You can't keep them small. And they're heavy producers, so you'll make friends as you give this stuff away, if they like it. All right? But it's good for containers. You're going to have to prune it. Okay, this is one thing that homeowners, including myself, were scared to go out and cut our fruit trees because I might do something wrong. Well, you might, but you know, just do it. Otherwise, you're going to get a 30, 40-foot tree, and then you can't get to the fruit other than whatever the squirrels throw down at you. So pruning. Stay under the 15-foot height with annual pruning, and you can see these verticals I'm talking about. Like at the end of your last fruit harvest, that's when you prune. Don't wait 3 months into December and prune. Prune right in July if that's the last fruit that came off. But you can see the verticals that you might want to like take down, you know, cut it all the way down to here, like, and that'll encourage more lateral growth coming this way, and it will shorten the tree. Okay? So you only have to do it once a year. You know, it's not like you've got an orchard of 300 trees. You've probably only got a couple, so it's good to do it. There's some canistels there with slightly different shapes, but the ones that are really easily, readily available at our landscaping places are Bruce Fairchild 1, Oro, and Trump. And harvest, roughly August to October. Right? But that's a nice sized tree, I think. So we had some carambola star fruit here today, I think. Did I hear that? Or was it just star apple? I can't remember. It was...
Yeah, the carambola didn't come out yet, not in season yet, not ripe yet.
Okay.
And I even checked with Excalibur, they didn't have them.
All right, all right. I probably should have known that because that's part of the slide here, like when we're supposed to harvest. I forgot. Well, anyway, so again, a lot of these fruits that we love so much here in South Florida, they didn't start here. They started in Asia. Came over 100 years ago. It was very tart, not hardly edible, but you know, that's what plant breeding is all about, not just by the research scientists, but also hobbyists, enthusiasts are some of the best plant breeders in South Florida, are the people that have experience, not the Ph.D. You're familiar with starfruit. It's got a beautiful cross-section, so it just decorates any kind of salad or any kind of fruit arrangement. What I like about it, it's got that waxy cuticle, which is edible. The cuticle is the skin, but it gives it a crunch. So you're not just eating, you know, soft pulp, juicy pulp, but it goes crunch, crunch, crunch when you hit that waxy layer. So that kind of gives a nice little sensation, I think. It's also good for containers. It's slow growing naturally, not like longan. It's going to behave itself, but you can help it behave itself by pruning it a bit. It produces a lot. You're going to be giving a lot of carambola away if you have one tree. If you have 2 trees, you probably planted too many. This is something I learned just preparing for this presentation. I did not know this, okay? But now everything I'm reading about carambola has this warning. So folks with kidney disease need to be careful because the oxalic acid production by starfruit, which is a natural process, can actually interfere with compromised renal function. So it's best to be wary, careful, ask your doctor, and then go from there. I didn't want to do this presentation without mentioning that. Okay, we're getting smaller, right? You can keep this at 10 feet. Chop, chop, chop. Every single one of these says remove strong verticals, encourage the laterals. That's what it's all about. Arkan, by far the most common throughout South Florida, but Fuantung, Kari, and Sri Kenbangan are up-and-coming, very popular varieties that are really being pushed by our carambola enthusiasts that grow these things. Here's a funny thing. It flowers twice during the year, so it fruits twice a year. August, September, little lull, comes back December, February. In between, you're going to have a few carambola popping up here and there, but there's kind of 2 flushes, which is pretty unusual, really, to have that. You know. So, jaboticaba. Raise your hands if you've had jaboticaba before. Dr. Vinacore, you don't count. You've had all of these, and you probably grow a lot of them too. I love this fruit. It's a crazy one. It's native to Brazil. It's got a sweet, tart flavor. Más o menos, kind of like a Concord or Muscadine grape. It's really pretty. You know, that dark purple skin contrasts so nicely with the inside. It just decorates any kind of fruit platter. A lot of people don't eat the skin, but if you're an enthusiast, you do. Typically, you spit the seeds out. I kind of went to a forum, like, what do you do with the seeds? They go, oh, just swallow them. I don't know, probably just spit them out. But seeds have tannin, so if you're going to blend these things in a blender to make a smoothie or something, don't blend the seeds up too, because it'll add a kind of a bitter taste. So take the seeds out. There's not that many. Really short shelf life, and that's probably why you haven't had jaboticaba, because you're not going to find it in any kind of store like Publix, because it's just like it lasts like a couple of days and then it starts declining. So a lot of times it's just eaten right off the tree and then processed into things like jams and jellies. For those of you that like fermented stuff, it's a really good candidate for making homegrown wine in the bathtub, right? It's very popular for that. What do you think about this arrangement of fruit here?
So interesting.
It's a lot, but like its location relative to the branch. It's not like it's hanging in a big cluster. It's kind of like stuck to it. So I want you to see this word here in the species name, Plinia cauliflora. Okay? That's just a shameful segue to my next slide. Cauliflori, right there, okay? It's a botanical description where the flowers and the fruits emerge on the trunk or the branch of the tree. Okay, just like you're seeing over here again. So it's a crazy looking thing when it's fruiting. It's just like you got these pebbles all the way up and down the branches, and you just pop them off and eat them right there, bang. This is nice if you're doing a container garden, you know, near your house. The flowers are very fragrant. It's going to fill your patio with a nice smell. It's also quite ornamental. It's really attractive looking. The bark peels back, and then at different ages of peeled bark, turn different colors with the sun, and you get this mottled appearance. It's really quite pretty with those purple berries. It's pretty cool. It's popular with bonsai hobbyists because it likes to stay small. You know, and so it's ideal for containers. You can keep it at 8 feet with selective pruning. And you can see here, that's a very attractive flower. I mean, the whole thing is just go plant one. You trust me, you'll like that. You'll like it a lot. Sabara is by far the most common that you're going to find in South Florida, but Grimmel and Red Hybrid are the second and third runner-ups. Check this out. Is that like amazing? That flower display? That's just crazy. Anyway, so 20 to 30 days from bloom to harvest. So that's like from the time the flower pops until you get this fruit, about a month. That's fast, okay? Mango, it's like, when are you gonna do this, you know? 100 to 150 days. So because of that, multiple harvests throughout the year. Without too much trouble, 4 times a year, easy, okay? So a very plentiful fruiting tree. And the harvest season, because it's so fertile in terms of producing multiple flowers, it can go from March all the way to July on August. I'm going to finish with mango, just so you kind of know where I am. We're almost done here. I can't ignore mango, you know. I was thinking of, yeah, I figured, you know. Raise your hands if you've had mango before. I'm going to think of a tree all right. So this isn't going to be any news to you, but I'll tell you a few things that I think are cool. That India, Burma, Southeast Asia band right through there, that's where mango comes from. Came over in the 1830s to Florida. You know, Florida was trying to do mangoes back in the 80s and 90s, and Hurricane Andrew came through and decimated Homestead. And the mango trees went down. And the mango industry just went blunk like that. But the resurgence from that, since you had to replant, was it like, well, are we just going to replant to the same Haydens and everything else that we've been doing for 100 years? No. Everyone came full force and said, well, let's start trying new stuff. There was a renaissance in mango cultivar and variety development that occurred as a consequence of Andrew. And because of that, we've got a crazy number of amazing mango varieties that have a flavor profile for everyone. I've had mangoes that taste like a little bit of coconut, a little bit of pina colada, you know, lemon citrus, these kinds of things, coconut twice, peach honey. I know when I spent my time in Thailand in Peace Corps, we ate a lot of mangoes green with sugar, salt, and a hot sauce. It's a snack, and you just crunch that green mango, and it tasted so good. So there's mangoes that are bred for that, and who can resist a mango salsa, right? So anyway, over 1,000 cultivars and varieties developed. It's just bizarre. So, big word, Anacardiaceae, that's a family in the taxonomy of plants, but this family includes mango, it includes poison ivy, poison oak, poison sumac, cashew, pistachio. We eat cashews and pistachios, but they've been processed away from the fruit that has the urushiol sap right here that is common to all of these plants that causes the reaction on your skin. So be careful with mango. Well, everyone raise their hands so you know you're either allergic to mango or you're not, or you have to be careful. So just this sap alone, which is always going to happen on a mango, people can break out in hives just from that sap, okay? And here's the other weird thing. People can break out in sap that's on the skin or just under the skin, but they can eat the inside as long as it's not too close to the skin. So that's kind of unusual. So I want to just point this out. If you have mangoes right here, this is overwatering and over-fertilizing during the winter months is the reason why your mangoes aren't blooming a lot, okay? Or one of the prime reasons. People want to I want to help my mango in the spring, so I'm going to fertilize with nitrogen and all this stuff and mulch it and stuff. No, 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 no. You want to scare that mango tree, okay? Even take your chainsaw out there and just stick it by the mango tree and say, behave yourself, or else something's going to happen to you, okay? So you want to stress your mango tree deliberately. Leave it alone. It's going to go into a little stress routine, and it's going to flower more abundantly, and you'll do yourself a favor. Our mango producers, they don't mulch their mangoes, and they don't irrigate them, and they don't add nitrogen to an established tree. Okay? Now, when the thing is this small, yeah, you got to help it along a bit, but when it's fruiting, stop putting all those inputs into it. Anthracnose and powdery mildew, very common on a lot of different mango varieties, but there are mango varieties that are resistant, and we want to use resistant varieties so we don't have to do things like try to deal with anthracnose and powdery mildew. We don't want to create more work for ourselves. And can mangoes be kept small? Yes, because we have dwarf mangoes. And we have something that the industry is calling compact/low vigor varieties, or condo mangoes. And these are great for containers. Yeah, I love condo mango. A low vigor sounds like, oh, that doesn't sound good. What they mean by low vigor is it's not wanting to grow to 50 feet, okay? So when you got true dwarfs in these low vigor varieties, you can keep them at 8 feet, and they're going to produce fruit in the container that's on your patio. Remarkable. Just a short list of varieties that would be highly recommended for containers that you'll keep at 10 foot or less in height. Pickering, Cockshall, Carry, Nam Dok Mai from Thailand, Julie, Ice Cream, Malika, Oak Krung, Thailand, Angie, Fairchild, Rosa Gold. You see a lot of these are locally developed by our growers here in South Florida. Where can you get these varieties, might be the question. Come to Mounts Botanical Garden plant sale, particularly the spring plant sale, which of course is behind us now, but that's when all the fruit vendors are there selling their special fruit tree varieties, because you want to get them in the ground for the spring. We already know the mango season's basically June and July is when it's really heavy, some of it before and a little bit afterwards, but don't you just love it when all the mango flowers come popping out all across Palm Beach County? It's so cool. It's so neat. And it's interesting. You'll see a lot of mangoes are like pink, red, purples, and then others are just green, yellows. They're actually distinctly different genetics depending on where they came from in the world. So it's kind of interesting. This is my last slide. And I just point out that just several days ago, we held Mango Fest at the Palm Beach County Convention Center, and that's just a display of different mango varieties. Wow. Okay? And I can't stand tall enough to get the table that's back actually there hidden, okay? It just keeps going. I didn't do this alone. Fruit trees is not my forte, as I told Dr. Vinokur, so I had some chats with Dr. Crane and with Jeff Washaleski, and I read their articles, and they gave me advice, so thanks to them. And if you want to know more about fruit trees in South Florida, any aspect of tropical fruits, just Google Tropical Fruit Tuesdays. This is something that Jeff puts on every month. It's a webinar, it's online, but then he records it and then he posts it on YouTube. So you can go back and look at the archives. They're great. Now, I've learned so much just looking at his archives. I don't even go to when he's actually doing it because I can't, but I look at it afterwards. And so with that, I can conclude.
Yes, can you just take 1 minute and tell us why from those 5 trees, you didn't show us an orange, a lemon, a lime, or a grapefruit?
Avocado. Well, avocado
avocados are good, they also have a disease.
I love citrus, but we've got hualongbing, a terrible disease. As you know, citrus greening is really impacting the citrus industry in Florida. You will not escape it at home. You might, be able to nurse your lemon or orange tree along in a container, with tender loving care, but it's always going to get impacted by this disease. University of Florida and lots of other institutions are doing massive amounts of research trying to figure out what to do with this. But right now, the citrus plants in Florida are under attack.
And the USDA is trying to work on it. They've been doing it for years. And people tell me, oh, but I put my lime or my lemon in the ground and now it's all green, it's looking good. Well, that's what hualongbing or lethal yellowing is. It becomes really green and really beautiful and then just dies because it gets clogged up with that. So these are the trees that we should be planting, and we can really, limes, lemons, we gotta stay away from them.
Can I ask another question?
Oh, yes. Yes.
So, Ron, I have mangoes in my backyard. I lost one a couple of years ago. The high winds really blew it down one day. So now I'm growing some mangoes, but what about, you didn't say anything about lychee?
Lychee, I love lychee. I mean, I grew up on lychees overseas. There isn't a erythros mite that's impacting lychees right now. It would be difficult to deal with that if you should catch that particular mite that damages lychees. I'm not saying don't plant it, but you're going to have to do some management if it comes by and visits on your lychee tree, because it'll destroy it.
And how about how soon, I think in citrus we're thinking maybe 5 years for commercial production. It could be less. What, on these fruit trees you mentioned, and on lychees, how long does it take to get to a fruit bearing really?
Rick is asking, how long does it take from the time you plant, let's say plant a seed until you get a fruit bearing tree? If you're going from seed, it's a long time. I mean, the standing joke is, when is the best time to plant a fruit tree? And you're thinking, is it March, April? No, it's like 10 years ago. That's the best time.
And to buy a grafted tree.
Yeah, so that's Dr. Vinacore says, buy a grafted tree. You've got the rootstock that's going to go in the ground, that's going to be resistant to all the pests and diseases in the soil and stuff. But the graft coming off of there is the variety that you want, and that's going to pop fruit like within 2 or 3 years.
Hi, we have just one question. We'll take one more question, and then you know what? Dr. Rice will stay for a few minutes for people, but here's one question.
Thank you, Dr. Rice. As a result of my board service at Lexington Club, I've learned that Ganoderma is a 4-letter word. So I was wondering, has the Extension Service done any research or is doing any research on the local level and state or national level?
So the Extension Service isn't doing research per se, but we do go out and say, we'll do a site visit. Yeah, you have Ganoderma. This is what you're going to have to do. The research is being done by our university horticulture faculty, not necessarily just in Gainesville. We have 12 to 14 different research education centers that are scattered throughout the state, and they're organized to investigate the problems that are unique or special to that area. So the Everglades Research Education Center is in the Everglades Ag area. It's looking at organic soils and the crops that are grown out there, like sugarcane and rice and leafy vegetables.
We're losing hundreds of trees.
That's right. That's right. And a solution is not. It's the same thing as like lethal viral necrosis on St. Augustine grass. It's a problem. Solution isn't there yet. Breeding is right now the only solution to lethal viral necrosis on St. Augustine grass. Ganoderma, it might be the same thing, just breeding a new variety of palm that can resist that. So there's some of these pathogens are so brutal that we can't overcome them unless we luck out in the research field. So breeding has to go alongside to fill in the gap and try to produce new varieties that will be more resistant to these things. The environment, the the entire environment of pathogens, pests, insects, constantly changing. Not only are we getting invasives coming into Florida all the time, but the stuff is mutating all by itself. And so the answers that you have today in terms of research-produced solutions or new species or new breeds, cultivars and varieties of plants that you produce from a breeding program, they might not be long-lived because the pest is trying to keep one step ahead of you, so to speak. So, yeah, you know, you got grandkids that want a really good future, plant breeding, plant pathology, they'll be busy for the rest of their lives.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. So, here's the thing. We will see you in September, nothing in August, but you'll get our newsletter definitely digitally. And to help yourselves, you know, there's some things you can put in your hat, like there's bonbons there that taste like a plum. There's the lychees, you can take a few of those with you. So there's a few things, and then we'll close it up. Okay? Thank you so much for coming. You have a great summer. Happy Independence Day. Happy 4th of July.